Welcome to week 2 of the Elestriad, where ShadyPenguinn, representing Hephaestus and the Fire Pantheon, is taking on Magnitude, representing Poseidon and the Water Pantheon. These two casters have a long history, knowing each other for over a decade, and I'm super excited to see this clash. As always, be sure to hit that like button down below, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to head over to shop@Elestrals.com and pick up yourself a sweet starter deck, some sleeves, a sweet tee, or something else. Check it out in the description below. And don't forget to leave a comment who you think's gonna win this one, Magnitude or ShadyPenguinn. These two did their deck profiles and their pack openings and did some pretty interesting things. I'm excited to see the strategy from ShadyPenguinn, switching up from his fire roots and actually bringing a lot of wind. He's got his Sorlets, his P-Gus, his Hydrake, and his Penterror, and that's gonna be a tough task for Magnitude to stop with his Raging Tides. Now Steve is bringing a all-out offensive water deck with Mestations and Galaxies. He's got a pretty good back row with Tsunamis as well, and don't forget his Shield of Achilles. But ShadyPenguinn has Smoltuga, who I'm looking to be a game changer in this clash, as Smoltuga's 5 defense actually turns into 5 attacks when faced up against Galaxy. Let's dive into the clash and find out who's gonna win week 2. All right, here we go. ShadyPenguinn versus Magnitude. Shady had a pretty dominant performance in week 1, utilizing the Hammer of Hephaestus and his Valkyries, and exactly the same start that Shady had last week. Smoltuga hits the field, proving to be his early season MVP. He's going to search out his Kinleo, and he's going to be able to get himself quite the momentum on this first turn, getting all of the pieces that he needs. Now this week, Shady does not have the same support for Kinleo, like the Divine Rune, like the Stadiums, but you can always Nexus off of Kinleo onto another card and actually function similar to a Boom Bat would function that way. So it looks like we're gonna pass over to Magnitude here, who's going to draw his card, cut his deck, figure out his spirits, and get his first turn started here. A Galaxy play would actually be huge, and he does have the Galaxy play. So Smoltuga, sitting in defense position, actually now has its stats swapped and now is a 5-2, which means Galaxy can hit over it. So a really cool interaction here. I called it kind of in the pregame, and I actually anticipated it coming here. I knew this interaction would come up with both casters rocking 3 of each of these cards. And Shady's Smoltuga goes down. Galaxy picking up a KO for Magnitude. He's got to be feeling good about this start. He knows that Shady has that Kinleo he's going to have to deal with at some point. But getting rid of Smoltuga turn 1 is big, because you have to remember, Magnitude's deck does not have a lot of offensive presence when Galaxy is not on the field. He's utilizing things like Oistress and Foamies and more defensive type Elestrals that need the effect of Galaxy to really function, and it looks like Shady has the perfect counter, a Sorlet. Sorlet with 5 attack can actually expend a Wind Spirit to change the position of a non-Wind Enchanted Elestral and force them into defense position or attack position, and in this case, he can force that Galaxy into defense position and thus be able to attack over it. Now, it does cost him a Spirit to do so, so Steve does get that bit of an advantage of kind of whittling down ShadyPenguinn's Spirit deck, but the advantage definitely goes to Shady, as he is going to be able to destroy the Galaxy with an attack here and put Magnitude back on the back foot, but not before setting a face-down rune. I'm very interested to see what that face-down rune could be. We know Shady's got a handful of tricks up his sleeve, including the Gorgon's Gaze, the kind of stand-out counter rune from the Fire starter deck. So definitely something to be looking out for. That can be very advantageous. There's some unique situations where you can utilize Gorgon's Gaze in certain parts of the battle phase to be able to shut off different effects. So in the context of Galaxy attacking Sorlet, you could use Gorgon's Gaze to essentially stop the attack, or you can use it to turn off the effect and let the attack still go through, thus unswapping Galaxy's attack and defense. There's some really cool stuff you can do. So we're going to see Magnitude actually cast Arrowmare into defense position. That's a really good defensive wall here. This is an opportunity for him to slow down this Sorlet and try to keep him from attacking. It does seem as though Shady is going to expend, and it looks like he's going to expend the change Arrowmare's effect. Now, I do want to point out that this was actually a mistake and actually an illegal play, as Arrowmare would not have been swapped to attack position there. In fact, Shady would have expended the Spirit. It would have been declared an illegal play, and thus the the Arrowmare would be forced to stay in defense position. So this was a mistake, and I wish it was caught in the match, but it wasn't. So the players played out the game as they thought it was to be played out. Shady appears to expend a Spirit to draw a card, foregoing his normal cast for the turn. So a bit of an unfortunate circumstance for Magnitude there, and you know, this game in general, as it seems that the casters did not read Sorlet's very short effect text that indicates that it can only change the position of non-wind enchanted Elestrals. But we've seen that mistake made before, so this is nothing new, and these casters are learning. So hopefully they're watching the game afterwards. I'm going to definitely send them both a message and let them know. We've got an Oystress hit in the field. Oystress is going to get a defense boost for every water spirit on the field. That's going to get it to 4 defense immediately. If Magnitude has something like a Poseidon, he can buff its defense even further. But with Sorlet on the field, it's going to be really difficult because Sorlet can continue to just change the position of those non-wind enchanted Elestrals and thus just run through it. But Magnitude's got 2 runes face down. This could be his opportunity to make a play. Tsunami is a huge play here if he has it. That could get him right back into the game, because if Sorlet's sitting in defense position, it is much less impactful than when it's an attack, right? 5 attack versus 1 defense is a pretty significant difference there. Seems like Shady's gonna do an expend to draw, it looked like, from my perspective, and he's just going to attack into the Oystress, and it looks like Steve does indeed have that Tsunami. That's gonna be a card we look to see throughout the entire season from Magnitude. Utilize that Tsunami and actually discouraging his opponents from using it as well, given the fact that he has the water deck. So that's going to be something we'll see as the weeks go on. But let's do a quick listen in.
And I want to ask this question of a judge, because I'm like 80% sure I can, but I'm not sure. And if I'm wrong, it's going to reveal my entire strategy. Oh, but so yeah, I'm just going to ask you. That's what I'm going to do. I can use...
Sure.
I can ascend 2 guys into 1, right?
If you have 2 1-drops, you can ascend them on the following turn into a 3-drop, yeah. Or if if you special cast it from the grave.
Yeah, like you can. Well, no, you wouldn't. So strictly speaking, you can. When you ascend, you only use 1 Elestral, but you can take spirits from other Elestrals.
Okay, because that's going to happen this turn. So.
All right, so that's a cool little tidbit of information. If you guys didn't know, you can actually use spirits from other Elestrals in the field to ascend, but you do need to choose a target Elestral, and we're going to see Tadpuff hit the field, the exact strategy we were looking for. Tadpuff, you expend a water spirit to special cast your Tadpuff in attack position, and now you can essentially kind of combine all those spirits on your field, and I think we might see a MAJESEA here, and we are! The boss Elestral for Magnitude is MAJESEA, and he gets it onto the field, ladies and gentlemen. How exciting is that? I love it, I love it, I love it. MAJESEA brings the tide and brings the crashing waves. 614, gonna get a nice buff from those water spirits on the field to be the strongest Elestral out. And the thing is we know that Kinleo is waiting in the back, so we'll have to see how this all kind of unfolds. Does he have a rune to stop this attack, or is this Sorlet going down? This MAJESEA putting on a ton of pressure. Tadpuff is very good in water decks. For this reason alone, he's able to special cast the Tadpuff out, not taking the place of his normal cast for the turn, and then he can actually ascend into MAJESEA, putting a lot of his his spirits into one thing, and it's the Shield of Achilles. ShadyPenguinn has the perfect answer to deal with that MAJESEA and send it right back to Magnitude's hand. That means all 3 spirits enchanting that MAJESEA are going to go straight to the underworld. Shady has to pay a cost of 4 spirits to make that play happen, so it's quite expensive. He's going to do 1 spirit to cast the shield and 3 more to activate its effect. So that's a 4 spirit play there from Shady, and it's definitely going to cost quite a bit. Magnitude has no field presence outside of a rune now. Shady has used pretty much his best counter rune that he's going to have at this point in the game, and he's got his Sorlet still sitting there, and he's going to be able to make sure it stays in or goes into attack position now for his turn, as he's able to change his position again. There is still that face down rune. We'll have to see if Magnitude has another Tsunami up his sleeve or something similar to kind of thwart the attack. And we're going to see an Ambrosia from ShadyPenguinn. Ambrosia is going to allow him to regenerate 3 spirits. It's not relevant in this situation, but I do want to just point out that when you cast Ambrosia, you cannot pull spirits from Ambrosia back, right? So if you have only 2 spirits in your underworld, you can't take the one from Ambrosia. You need to let that fully resolve. He had another wind spirit in this case, so it didn't actually make any difference, but just a note for other players out there. As Magnitude casts his Arrowmare, and he's going to be able to attack directly into Magnitude's spirit deck for 2 spirits. Steve has an uphill battle in front of him, right? He needs to figure out, how do I keep this Sorlet from changing position of my Elestrals? a Foamy would be really big right now because it would give him a little bit of time to kind of gain some sort of a board presence. A Galaxy could take out the Aeromare. A Mestation could do some work here. If you can get it to the field, you can get it to 6 attack and hit over that Sorlet. Playing Atlantis could be huge for Steve if he can grab it. So he's got options, right? This game is far from over. That Kinleo's a little scary. It seems like Steve's actually going to pass on casting any Elestrals at all. I'm unclear if he went for an Expend to draw. I didn't see it. And it seems as though Shady's going to have an opportunity to get his third Elestral onto the field. This is where getting out something like a Kinleo could be really advantageous, but it looks like he's going to go Jolton. He's going to grab the Stadium advantage here. Bringing the Island of Aeolia this week, not the Volcanic Forge. Shady can now search his deck for that Stadium, which we know is the island, and he's going to be able to cast it to the field. And now that window of opportunity for Magnitude to try to take out this Sorlet is certainly minimized because he's going to need his own Atlantis, or we know he's running those Tornadoes, maybe bouncing that island back to remove that buff. We know Magnitude does have a few Wind Spirits in his deck. There's an opportunity here. Maybe a defense position Mestation with a Wind Spirit could be clutch, but instead it looks like he's going to take 3 hits here. We don't see the Island of Aeolia hit the field, but rather Magnitude just takes a few chunks to his Spirit deck, bringing him down to 7 Spirits, it seems, to Shady's 10. Shady does have 3 Elestrals on the field. Magnitude went for that big swing with the MAJESEA, and now he's trying to climb his way back. We see a Water Spirit hit the field and an Aepharos into defense position, rocking that 4 defense. An opportunity to do some sweet Nexus stuff, of course, but without having a Trident or a Poseidon that we've seen so far, seems like Magnitude is just kind of flailing around trying to find the right pieces of his deck that he needs. He was able to perfectly execute the MAJESEA strategy, but just ran into that Shield of Achilles, which is very, very difficult for him to come back on. Let's do another listed in here and see what ShadyPenguinn's working with.
2, 3, back.
It's right now it shouldn't make a difference, but you can't return the spirit that you spend on Ambrosia with the effects of Ambrosia.
Ah, okay, so I would have to grab a different Wind Spirit.
Yeah, I see that you have other liquors, so it's fine, but
It's not fine. I disagree. It's not fine. This is egregious.
That's actually, I mean, that's important to know, actually.
Can we get a second judge here?
That's kind of funny. I swear I didn't watch this game before commentating it. Siberian, our judge, actually points out what I mentioned on the last Ambrosia play, so that's kind of funny that it all worked out that way. But Shady has the perfect tech Boom Bat ready to explode and boom onto the field, taking out that Aepharos with a disenchant if he wants to go that way. A fun play that Shady could have done here. It's not really. Oh, he's gonna do it. I was gonna say he could have ascended his Jolton into Boom Bat to allow Boom Bat to have an extra spirit, but he's gonna take some more style points here and circle the sky his way to a new draw. So similar idea. My thought was I was gonna recommend you could ascend Jolton into Boom Bat. Boom Bat would then have 2 spirits. Then you could use Boom Bat's effect and keep Boom Bat on the field. Cool idea. This way he goes a little bit differently. He plays the Circle the Sky. That gives him an extra draw, but he gets kind of the same outcome that he's looking for, and he is indeed gonna boom. So this is a cool play with Boom Bat where you can kind of keep it on the field for the next turn and essentially force an opponent to attack Boom Bat now. Like, Magnitude has no other option but going after the Boom Bat. Now, Foamy would be good because he can crash into it, but he's gonna need something here. So Boom Bat's gonna hit, Aeromare's gonna hit, Sorlet's gonna hit, Magnitude's Spirit Deck is getting whittled down very, very quickly, and he is in a super tough spot here. He's got 1 turn to redeem himself with just 3 spirits left. Let's do one final listening for the end of the clash.
Nectar of the Gods to draw 2 with 1 spirit
that is
left.
Hail Mary.
My goodness. And you win. I can't win. That's
All right. GG.
I had a shield ready.
And that is going to do it for our Week 2 Clash. ShadyPenguinn with a dominant performance over Magnitude and his water deck. A couple key points to the game. That Sorlet was incredible, being able to change position of Elestrals and stay on the field for so long. I do think that mistake there with the Aeromare did have an impact on the Clash, though. If Aeromare is alive and well at that point in the Clash and is able to survive long enough, it may have proved to be the defenses that he needed. It would have forced Shady to have to use that Boom Bat or that Kinleo earlier, and who knows how would it played out. So that's something we'll definitely make note of to these casters, so they're able to kind of make those plays a little bit more efficiently in the future, but this is just kind of all part of the learning process. I gotta say, I was really excited to see MAJESEA hit the field for Magnitude. He was on the cusp of being able to take control of this clash, but the well-timed Shield of Achilles from Shady just sealed the deal and put Magnitude in too bad of a position to be able to come back from. Thank you guys so much for watching this one. Be sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for the rest of the Elestriad matches this week. I'll see you soon. Oh, and go buy some starter decks at shopelestrals.com.